No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. And today I'm in here with the current self-defense king of TikTok. Dale Brown is in the building. How you doing, man?
Excellent. Detroit Urban Rebel Training.
Right. And when I say that, I don't mean to undermine the long, illustrious career that you've had before this, because you've been doing a lot of big things throughout your life. That's one thing I learned in my research for this.
Yes. Been around 26 years, even though to other people it's been like 26 days.
Right, yeah. It takes a lifetime to be an overnight sensation, right?
Right,
like
exactly. Yeah, that's a good point.
That's what they say. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I read that you were a paratrooper. Like, tell me a little bit about your early days, where you were born, and then how you got to the stage of doing armed combat and all this.
Well, I'm originally from Ann Arbor, Michigan, which is where University of Michigan is located.
Okay.
It's a college town.
Right.
Typical suburban existence, very, very peaceful. Only gangs we have there are like lacrosse and chess or
and
tennis
did they
gang.
beef?
I'm not sure. I never saw them.
Okay, yeah.
So, I was a martial artist as a kid, did some wrestling, I was in firearms. My mother was a lieutenant in the Army, National Guard, before she became a full-time captain in the regular Army as a physician.
Okay.
And she was a doctor, and when we were younger, she was a lieutenant in the Army, in the National Guard, and we used to go shooting a lot. So we used to go, where other kids would go to the movies, we went shooting.
So that was always just kind of a thing that was drilled into you from an early age, is the value in understanding guns or understanding self-defense in general?
Yes. It was just part of our life. And avid part of our life was just shooting guns. So, and then martial arts. And then I was, when I went to I became an airborne paratrooper in the Army.
Right.
And that's where I learned to not have fear. So I essentially became a person who lacked fear of people and situations.
Right.
And that's a direct result of following through with airborne school.
Were you, if you were to describe your overall personality type going into being a paratrooper and everything, were you someone who was somewhat timid? Were you a little bit afraid of the world? Did you have anxiety about these situations that then your training sort of beat out of you?
No, I wasn't a daredevil.
Okay.
Generally, I would not do things that were just dangerous for no reason. And being airborne, I'm jumping out of a perfectly good aircraft for no good reason. It's actually still flying.
Right.
And I could die.
Yeah.
So, that's a decision that you make. And how many times do you make a decision? Do we as people make decisions that could kill us?
Yeah.
It's very rare.
Yeah.
Right.
But
unless you had to, like if you have to jump out of aircraft because it's not flying anymore, that's fine.
It's hard to be scared after you've gone through that sort of training.
Well, yeah, for me, I had to make a decision that I'm actively going to go towards what I know could kill me, and it's a choice. I don't have to jump. I could actually switch my MOS in the military and just become something else. I could just do something that's not airborne.
What do you think it was about you that drove you towards doing something so risky, though?
Well, actually, there was an individual who was, I was in junior ROTC, and it's funny you asked that. No one ever asked that question.
But I mean, it's got to take a certain personality type or a certain desire to want to put yourself into those situations.
Mine was more of a different scenario. It's actually the opposite. I would never have done it except that this guy who was didn't like me. He was Lieutenant Colonel Poteet.
Okay.
And he showed me a picture one day, and he said, "What is this?" I said, "This is a redneck with no neck." He was like, "It's him." He was younger. He was
Okay.
And he had a goat, he had like a mohawk, no neck, and it was like somewhere in Georgia or something, and he was trying to intimidate me.
Right.
And I was like, he goes, "No, that's something you'll never be, Brown. That is an airborne paratrooper."
Wow.
And I looked at him, I said, "That is something I would never want to be. Someone who jumps out of a perfectly good working aircraft for no good reason." And then he put me out of JROTC.
Wow. That's how it went down.
Yeah, that's how it went down. So I was never going to join the military. I was never going to jump out of anything perfectly fine, flying. But later, I remember that I wanted to prove this individual wrong.
And that really stuck with you.
Yes, I never knew it stuck with me, though.
Wow.
And so, as later as I ran out of economic opportunities, and I had to decide what I was going to do with my life, I was like, well, there's always the military. And so in my family, if you don't go to college, you don't get any money.
Right.
So I had no money. So I had choices of, living off of minimum wage or joining the military.
Right.
So I decided to join the military. And I was like, I'm going to prove that guy wrong.
It's crazy how something like that can really drive you towards things. Like in my life, I've noticed there's a certain extra level of motivation that I can summon when I feel like I'm fighting against somebody who has in some way spurned me or made me upset. You know, that's just like I find motivation from that. And on the other hand, if I feel like I'm at the top of the pile for the business endeavor that I'm doing, it's very easy to get complacent and just stop thinking about how to elevate your shit. Once you have somebody nipping at your heels, that changes everything.
Right. That's right. That's right. It's all psychology. It comes down to psychology and motivation.
Right.
And I didn't realize that, the individual really bothered me, but it really did. And what it did, though, I can thank him for that because it changed my life in a very positive way. Now I had no fear of men. I had no fear of situations because I lost my fear through the lack of fear of gravity and death. So now I can't just jump out of airplanes and helicopters. I can do whatever it is I decide to do, no matter how dangerous it is. I can completely be mission motivated and not worry about money or a future or success more than just completing the mission. And that's what it did for me. It changed my life that way. Right,
definitely. So how long were you doing the paratrooping thing, and what were the extreme situations that led to, or was there anything crazy that happened?
No, nothing. I was Hollywood, so I didn't go overseas.
Oh, okay.
So I'm what you call a Hollywood paratrooper. So it means you didn't deploy to war.
Okay.
And I'm thankful for that because I'm very glad I didn't go to someone else's country.
Right. You might feel a little different about it.
Yeah.
Now
I would never want to do unto others as I would not want done unto me.
What was the war that you would have been deployed to if you?
It would have been Iraq for sure, 100%.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. And at that time, what was your view on what we were doing out there? Were you very much like pro-America 100%?
No, I was pro defense of our country in our country.
Right.
Never about going over to someone else's country.
Okay.
Ever. And so, I grew up in West Germany in high school.
Right.
I got a chance to meet people in Germany.
Right.
A country although I had German friends, we were occupying. And you don't think of it like that as a kid. Like I'm in high school. But I'm an occupying force. I'm a part of an occupying force. And I really, once I saw that, the German people were not all happy that we were there, and I realized I'm a member of occupying military force. I'm a high school kid, but that is how I'm there. I did feel, I felt like, I felt wrong because I would not want to be in America and have German soldiers in our country,
right.
Regulating us. So, I just feel like we should treat others the way we want to be treated.
Right. So at some point you choose to leave the military, I'm guessing?
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, I realized that was not going to be my, my future anyway. I was never in that thought process. For me, it was just a temporary condition that, for me would be a stepping stone. And that's all it was for me. So for me, what was really important to me is helping people and doing things that I think people need that would be positive. So, anything that's force or violence oriented would not be considered, in my book, appropriate.
Okay.
So I didn't want to do that. And it was when I was a private investigator, when I got out of the military,
Can we just move the cup to the side just because he's taking the thumbnail photo right now?
Okay.
Sorry.
And so when I was, after the military, I became a private investigator. I did some bounty hunting. And what I found was that when you're involved in those kind of things, you're actually being a part of people's negative experiences in their life. And I don't want to be part of something negative. So if I give you pictures of someone in your family doing something you don't want them to do, or
Right.
something that makes you upset about your husband or wife, although on television it sounds like a good idea, in real life you're making people sad.
Right.
And when you're bounty hunting people, you're actually bounty hunting people that are already having a bad life. These aren't
Yeah.
like, you're not going after, I thought it was going to be like really bad guys, right? It's people having a bad life, man. They're on drugs, or they're poor and couldn't pay debt or something. And so I didn't want to be a part of that. So for me, bounty hunting was not positive. Providing pictures of people doing inappropriate things.
Right, because as a private investigator, like, you are doing a good job when you supply somebody with something that essentially confirms their fears mostly, and that probably means the end of their relationship.
Or just a bad situation. You know what I mean? You're just bringing light to badness and illuminating a bad thing, and you're part of it.
Right.
So bad things happen all the time, but do you really want to be a part of this bad part of someone's life?
Right.
And for me, I hated to see people sad. So I realized, like, I can't be a part of that. So, so for me, what I love to do is see people do well. So
Right.
I like to teach people, and I was actually a swim instructor, and I'm okay at swimming, but I'm a swim instructor, and people are learning from me well, and I can see I'm good at teaching. The one thing I loved all my life was martial arts and firearms. So I kept studying martial arts, going to different schools. And for me, martial arts was not about trophies and winning things and learning about the esoterics of different cultures. You know, that's fine, but that was not what I was there for. I was there because I liked self-defense. I liked the idea that you could maintain your freedom and the freedom of others and stop violence and tyranny of a violent individual or group against a person. And
that's
so
interesting
that's what I
because
studied for.
I mean, like in the 90s or in the 80s and stuff, that a lot of martial arts had this like weird, you know, Eastern mystique thing about it, right? That like now when we think about self-defense, we think about jiu-jitsu, we think about all the shit stemming from the UFC, which kind of like showed us which styles were actually effective. And I mean, I remember as a kid, I remember being in karate class, and I remember thinking like, what the hell is this goofy ass shit that they're telling me about my chi and all this stuff? You know, I just wasn't into it.
Yeah, and that's what happened to me is I got disillusioned when I would go to these martial arts schools, and you know they would start talking about things that it's not actually functional, and I know it's not, right? And then I spar with them, and I'm beating up the kids that have, you know, advanced, you know, the system, and you know, I was like, this is not really what I want to do, and I see it's not working for them. They've been here 4 years, 5 years, and I just joined, and I'm, you know, beating their butt. So why would I want to continue this? And so I don't want to be disrespectful, but you know, that's not what I joined for. I didn't join to learn more about someone else's cultural, esoteric meanings of their martial arts. Although I liked martial arts, that's not what I was there for. And so, you know, what I did was I thought, man, wouldn't it be great if we had a system we could study that taught us how to fight standing up, fight on the ground, fight with a knife, a pistol, a shotgun, a rifle, fight with a baton, fight with a brick, whatever you have to do, but know how to do it legally. What if there was a legal system to help us learn how to do that? And that's what I learned from law, from being a private investigator, was law is more important than fighting. You would much rather lose a fight and go home and go get some stitches than win a fight and go to prison. And there's people that are going to prison right now today simply because they won the fight.
Right.
And they couldn't legally explain their actions. So if they would have known how to legally use force, they could have stopped themselves from making a decision that was later used against them to prosecute them.
Did you feel like the overall martial arts landscape at this time, the self-defense world, that there wasn't really anybody doing stuff that was this practical or that was this sort of grounded in reality?
To this very day, right now. I've been saying it publicly for 10 to 20 years, you know, openly in different formats, and nobody's trying to even approach the idea that you should legally know how to defend yourself, which is insanity. If you think about it, you're actually telling kids and adults to choke people, punch people, kick people, and nobody's explaining the laws that correspond with that. And now imagine an adult like Mr. Miyagi and Karate Kid, and he's following a kid, which is a minor, which is already illegal. Then he beats up some other minors, which worked out well in the movies, but you try that as an adult, you've just committed several crimes, including using physical force on other minors. You never sought legal intervention, you never called the police, you didn't try to avoid conflict, and you put your hands on minors. That guy would never have done Karate Kid 2, right? In real life. But imagine when no one's ever telling us this. How about when can a minor choke another minor?
Right. I don't know.
What do you do when the police get there?
Right.
You're choking someone, the police pull up, and you're choking them.
Like, from my experience, though, like, the police don't usually seem excited about pursuing charges against people who don't seem like they were the aggravator or the instigator of the fight, right? Or do you find that does happen quite
often?
That
happens often.
Really?
Yeah, right, very often. It's usually the rule in law enforcement traditionally is this: the winner goes to jail, the loser goes to the hospital. Now, that doesn't mean the winner was not the defender or the antagonist or protagonist. That's not the issue. The issue is if you won, you go to jail.
And then you
if
get
you lost, you go
sort
to
it out in court afterwards, right?
They're not even interested. They're not even that deep into it. However, you can piss off police by what you say to them, right? Or your attitude. So what I teach is how to survive even police encounters by creating a positive interaction with police officers when they have contact with you. And that's why in our 26 years, through force-on-force conflict, we've had no court dates. Because we know how to, I don't care what jurisdiction we're in. I've been in Denmark and I put my hands on someone and take them down and no problem. And I've been in country towns and of course in Detroit and urban communities in Canada and Ohio and other places. I've had to put my hands on people and no court dates. So you have to know how to not just legally explain something in a non-offensive way to law enforcement when they arrive, but you have to also know legal procedures by how you're going to communicate and also how to use psychology so that you can de-escalate any kind of potential conflict between you and law enforcement that responds to the situation, and you won or are winning the situation when they arrive.
Right.
So a lot of it has to do with things that are subconscious, like your voice inflection, facial expression, head position. All those things have a lot to do with how the police officer is going to feel about you,
Right. So
including how you look.
Are you starting from a point of view of someone who looks at the cops with fear? Like, is that something that you've had to deal with throughout your life, and this has become something that you thought was important? It's like, it's just as important to teach kids how to deal with cops?
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter if you fear them or not. You should fear the consequences of their actions when they write down a report in a certain way. You might be a great, upstanding citizen. This police officer, the way he writes this report, is going to determine your freedom or not. Right? And so a lot of people don't know that till they're in that situation. Next thing you know, you don't hear that story from that guy. You just hear someone was at a bar fight, someone was at someone's house, someone got into a fight and they got arrested because they did X, Y, Z. You didn't realize it was self-defense. You didn't realize there's another side of the story. All you remember is X, Y, Z happened, they got arrested, they got prosecuted.
Right.
And so there is another side of the story often, and that is that the person that was prosecuted was actually the good guy, but didn't know how to either A, explain it in a legal format, or said something that was so offensive that they got re-articulated.
Right.
Meaning the law enforcement officers, when they got there, they wrote the report a certain way based on several factors, which includes your attitude. When you're talking to the police officers, a lot to do with how they write the reports. So that's what we learned in many years of application. And so you can be a great, fine, upstanding person, but if you spoke in such a way that the officers didn't believe your side of the story or didn't like your side of the story, just like if the witnesses are there. The witnesses, if they don't like you and there's more witnesses against you,
Right.
that can usually play a negative part in your freedom plans.
Definitely. So how do you go about putting together this system of self-defense? Like, how do you go about creating a martial art at that point in your life?
Right. So what I did was I started, for me, I started teaching at the YMCA. I got started teaching in the parks. I didn't have any money, so I just, I was a swim instructor at the YMCA, and I started. I asked permission to teach class there. They gave me permission. I created the system, and when I first created it, I was using sport systems, sport ideas, sport fighting. I didn't know anything about, how you would bring things to closure, because I haven't been in any serious conflicts before. I'd never been in life and death struggle. So it was all theory. So I've been in some fights, but nothing super serious, right? And so I would say 75% of the things that I learned from martial arts just didn't work. It just wouldn't work. They can't work, and that's because of where their origin is from. So the martial arts we're being exposed to, these are from businesses from Asian countries. They're not actually true combat arts. They're not from like actual, military. Traditional arts are, someone who did good business in that country,
Right.
and was able to market themselves and create a class and a school and market it better than other people from their, Korean culture or their Chinese culture or their Japanese culture. And that became a business that we heard about in our country.
And it's optimized for to be a business.
Right.
It's not
Right.
like,
Exactly.
come in and do these like 20 classes and then you'll be done. No,
Yeah.
it's like, this is a lifelong journey. It's going to take you
That's
10
right.
years, and you need to be a black
And
belt
it's
to
very
defend
expensive,
yourself. Yeah.
right? It's actually a really serious business.
Yeah.
And then you find Americans cutting off, their Asian heritage, lineage by starting their own American version
Right.
of the same martial art, and then that becomes its own business and politics and all kinds of stuff. And at the end of the day, I didn't want to get involved in any of that. So for me, I thought, wouldn't it be just a place if you had just had pure training, no art, no sport, no taking your shoes off. I'm in Michigan. We don't really walk around with no shoes on. And laws are always important. So before I do anything, why wasn't I taught the law? Why is there not one martial art? And I studied probably 20, 30 different art forms and from instructors, both in group settings and privately. And I never had anyone discuss law. But yet law is literally the most important thing you're going to know when defending yourself, because it's not going to be self-defense if it's not legally considered self-defense. You're now the aggressor. You're now going to jail and or prison based on how much damage you did to the other person. Regardless of how you feel, how you felt, it's how the police feel, it's how the prosecutor feels, it's how the DA feels, it's how the judge and jury feels. And before that, it's how the people in your area, the witnesses feel, right? That matters more than how you feel. Because that determines how this is going to be articulated, how it's going to be explained legally in a court of law. So for me, I thought that would be vital. And so what I did was I started teaching in Detroit, where I thought people really needed, this training. A girl got chased off a bridge in 1995. And that's what made me think, you know what, I need to stop thinking about business and I need to be thinking about people. You know, this training could save lives. If somebody, and my theory was that if somebody was on that bridge, then these men could not have ripped the car door open with a crowbar and pulled this woman out in front of her daughter and stripped her clothes off of her in front of a crowd of people on the Belle Isle Bridge, which is a bridge that connects Detroit to the largest island connected to a city in the United States.
They threw her off the bridge?
No, they did not. They ripped her clothes off. She jumped off the bridge to escape the men.
What the fuck?
Men were cheering. The news media said that the men were cheering as she was fighting for her life, and they were saying, you know, kill her, and I thought that was lies. And what I can tell you is that at that moment I became devoted towards being the creator of the conditions where we could stop that in the future.
Right.
I'm going to make sure that we have someone trained that can help you and your family, that can stop your mother from being chased off a bridge, being ripped out of a car, being stripped in public. I'm going to create this training system for them. I'm going to make it accessible to them. I'm not going to worry about money. I'm going to go teach this on the east side of Detroit where it's really rough, and I'm going to make it safe for people, right, through the training.
Right.
And then doing so, I'll actually be able to prove the training is real. Right? So you'll actually be using this training, not just in a school, but in the streets to protect yourself and others.
Okay.
And that was my original idea until I got on the east side of Detroit in a place called Crack Alley. And there I discovered that the people needed more than training. See, I thought that when you call the police, you tell them the situation, the police will then come there and then protect you.
Yeah.
Law enforcement is law enforcement. Their job is to enforce laws that have been broken.
Right.
They can be there sometimes ahead of time. That's luck.
Yeah.
Or sometimes an officer, happens across something or, happens to be assigned to something that's very rare but could be there to prevent. That's possible, right? But normally, law enforcement responds to rape, robbery, and murder, for example, after it has happened.
Right.
To enforce laws. But we don't think of it like that from watching television. If you think about it, it's not fair to say, well, where were the police? Well, the police were on their way.
They weren't in your bedroom.
Right.
Yeah.
They can't be there.
Yeah.
They can't. It's not realistic, right?
Right.
And so my thing is, instead of complaining about the police, why don't we just teach people to protect themselves? Well, we got to do something more than that. And what I did was I realized that the situation is so dangerous. The gangs are so dangerous. The men and the groups they're so dangerous that you need more than just an individual to protect their family. You need more than just the single mom, the senior citizen to protect themselves. You've got to provide, we need to provide a rapid reaction force, a group that could help them. So I went to the building owner that owns 10 buildings in the area, 9 of the 10 buildings. And I said, we need to help the families because in your buildings, in this 1 square block, and I live in one of the buildings, but I live in the upper middle class or middle class building, right? And then the buildings around the corner, the Crack Alley, are what we call at-risk buildings.
Right.
That just means there's no protection. So at risk for horrible conditions means someone is not protecting you with good doors, adequate security and safety and lighting and other things you need to be safe in your home.
Right.
And so I went to the really wealthy guy who owns a 17-story building, another building next to us 10 stories, and all these other buildings. And I said, sir, there's a murder every month in your buildings right on this 1 square block.
Wow.
They call it Crack Alley. I said, there's daily home invasions. I called the police so much, the 911 operators knew my name.
Right.
I would call and I was like, there's people screaming, there's shooting, there's someone's yelling for help. They're like, Dale, we know, Dale, you called yesterday. There's every day we're shooting guns, like literally every day, outside of, the buildings, like very close to where I live.
And what year are we talking?
We're talking about like 94, 95.
Okay.
And so, I'm calling all the time, and I'm thinking that what the citizens need is like a liaison. We're going to explain. I'm going to show you how to explain this to the police, so you can work with them. They can work with you to protect the neighborhood. Right. What I thought was the problem, as I watched the news, was that the families, the people in Detroit, aren't helping the police help them. They're not snitching. They're embracing criminality, and they're just not doing the right thing.
Right.
And so what changed me was a little girl. She's 14. She's being attacked by a group of women. And I watched for 45 minutes while she was attacked. I watched her get attacked. I called repeatedly to 911. This is on the streets of Detroit. This is on East Jefferson and Holcomb Street, which is a major street right near the mayor, across from Jeffersonian, which is a big condominium where wealthy people live. But on this side of the street, it's not wealthy. It's where poor working class people live. And make a long story short, it's a 6-lane road, basically, a 6-lane highway, or excuse me, 6-lane metropolitan street. So it's very large, but it separates the wealthy from the poor.
Right.
And I live on the poor side. So I go to the building owner. I say, listen, we need to put up lighting. We need these other things. He was not interested, but the girl's being attacked. And before this happened, I went to the building owner. I said, we need to improve the safety of the people in your community because you're having these home invasions and murders. And he looked at me and he said, oh, wow, yeah, I'm not interested in anything you're saying right now, but good luck with helping your people.
Right.
I was like, helping my people? What are you talking about? These are your people, actually. They pay you.
I mean, it wasn't causing him to lose out on any money.
It was.
It was.
It was.
Because I'm thinking that he doesn't give a shit because
he's
he's just making money. He's a fucking slumlord, right?
Right. He's actually saying the opposite. He's saying, listen, I'm not making any money. I'm not buying any new doors, no lighting. I'm not doing anything for these people because I'm not making any money. I haven't made any money since the 60s.
I guess that's even worse. Yeah.
Right. So he's like, why would I spend money if I'm not making any money?
Yeah,
okay.
okay.
And what do you think you can do the entire Detroit Police Department can't do?
Right.
I mean, what they can't do it, but you can? How is that possible? You have a dog and a rifle. I mean, how's it going to help?
Yeah.
And I was like, it's a good point. How would a dog and a rifle and me be helpful? I was like, well, I'll get back to you about that. I'm not really sure how that's going to work out.
Okay.
So I came back with a plan. So first I had to do some research. He was not interested, right? So I found out he lost $70,000 last time there was a murder. And every month there's a murder.
He lost $70,000 every time there was a murder.
Yes, because people would move out.
Oh, wow.
So these people are working class. They're not poverty stricken.
Right.
They could actually move. So some people the senior citizens were generally not able to move, and some single moms couldn't move. But a lot of other people were families that are poor, working their way up,
Right.
out of the economic class. But they had jobs and they could leave, and they would leave. When the murder happens, they leave the building.
I believe it.
Or buildings, right? And so I said, I heard you lost $70,000 last month, and you've been losing. So I said, listen, why don't you give me 6 months? Give me a free apartment so I don't get evicted because I don't have any money either. And I was working for the guy at $4.15 an hour. He was paying me $4.15 an hour, and minimum wage was $5.15. And I worked 80 hours a week, but got paid only for 40. And I wasn't working. So when we say working, I was volunteering 40 hours a week to protect the community because it was that out of control.
Wow.
And so I knew this, though. If I'm going to help the community in a meaningful way long term, I need the legal rights to enforce the rules of law in those buildings. Mm-hmm. So that's all I cared about. And I know I'm not going to make any money or anything. And then he said, you know what? I'll give you that. I said, let me give this one office at the bottom of the building, which is right on East Jefferson. So I got a school now. It's 500 square feet. It's really about the size of this room that we're in right now. Okay, that's my whole school. Okay, and it's a bathroom and a small little office. I said, let me have that so I can train people from the community, and I have a school, and I will train people to protect their buildings. Give me a free apartment in each building of the 10 buildings. And so I found volunteers on the streets of Detroit. And I said, listen, I'll give you a free apartment. I'll train you for free. I don't have any money, but I can train you, give you a free apartment in exchange for you protecting your building. And then I got one of the clients one of the owners of buildings to purchase Nextel radio, so you can actually press a button and communicate with multiple units at the same time, so we can all help each other. And so now we got like a walkie-talkie system, it's cellular based. And next thing you know, we're able to have a group that can actually be helpful to stopping home invasions and murders.
Right.
And all the murders stopped immediately. I caught a set of home invaders about a month later. And after that, there was no more home invasions. I stopped some carjackings, and some other extreme violent conditions, and caught some people that did some shootings.
So most of your time you're spending doing what? Like just foot patrols of the area? Are you spending a lot of time talking to the residents and stuff?
And responding to them. So so now my
so they
response
can call
time,
you instead of the cops?
No, they have to call the cops. Make them legally call the cops.
Okay.
So there's always a legal accountability path where you're calling the police, and the only reason I'm taking action is due to exigent circumstances. Right? So you're required, this very day, you're always required to call police first before you can call us.
Okay.
And if police get there first, that's great. We'll help them, we'll help people. But our point is to help the people. The law enforcement community, their job is to enforce laws. You can't ask the police to worry more about your personal issues when their job is primarily law enforcement, right? Their job is to figure out who broke the law and then figure out who they're going to prosecute.
Right.
We don't care about prosecution. We care about the people. So when I get to the scene, I don't know if you're high or drunk or what's going on with illegal drugs or something. All I care about is anybody trying to rape, rob, or kill someone. And that's what we're here to stop.
Did you feel like the community mostly appreciated you? Because I'm assuming the criminals were upset deeply about you being there. And
Absolutely. The criminals were extremely unhappy.
Right. I would think that it wouldn't be out of the question that somebody would kill you.
Me too.
Right.
So I really thought, I'm from the suburbs. I was like, well, what can once I saw that there's really violent people out here, and these are gangs and cliques, and they're making money, and I'm interfering in their functionality, I was really sure I was going to die. I was pretty sure there's no way there's going to be a long-term plan here.
Are there people on the street selling drugs? And is that within your jurisdiction to tell them to stop?
I don't know, but I don't care about that.
Okay, you're not interested in that
no,
kind of stuff?
No, my thing was just rape, robbery, murder.
Okay.
So if you're selling something that someone else is buying, that's none of my business.
Okay.
That was day one. I never cared about any of that.
I think that would be a good thing for you not getting killed by these people.
Yeah, no, they don't care about that.
If you interfere with that, I could see that being
no.
a very
Well, I'm going to
issue,
interfere with it anyway because that wasn't my point. But no, the interference is natural. So what happens is you need to be able to go in the buildings, apartment buildings, with hundreds of units. You need to be able to get in these buildings, and you need to be able to create mayhem, and you need to, have traffic. Right, so you're selling something. You need to have traffic. Then some of the people that are involved in that behavior are going to take things from other people that live in the buildings, and they're going to terrorize those people. So what I did was took control of the buildings and physically kept people out that could not legally be there,
right,
which inhibited their business, the illegal business. So inadvertently, people that are being inappropriate towards whatever they're doing, right, realize that this is not a good place to do that, and there's no opportunity.
Right.
And as a result, we stopped the things that made your life inappropriate. So when you come home from school with your mom, and some of the guys try to talk to your mom, and then she says no, and then they spit on your mother, and you're 9 years old, that upsets you.
Yeah.
So instead of me being, not involved in what is important to the families in the community, I looked at it like, what if this was my family? What if I grew up here?
Right.
What if I was a little kid and my mom got spit on just because she wouldn't talk to these thugs out here, right? That are sitting outside of our apartment that we live in the building of, right?
Right.
What if I lived in the building and they're coming to my mom's house and taking our furniture because they have 5 guys with them, and they want to take our TV and take whatever my mom owns, right? That's what they're doing, like a third world country. They literally come to your house and just take things. What if I was my grandfather who got pistol whipped and then had his car taken, and then when the police get there, they just tell everybody to go in their rooms?
Yeah.
What if that was my grandfather, right? Instead of saying, well, these are someone else's family, I looked at it like, what if this was my family? And I approached it from that perspective. I will not allow you to pistol whip my grandfather and take his car. Okay, so that's not going to be allowed anymore. I'm not going to allow you to terrorize a woman by putting a gun inside of her mouth and kicking her between her legs because she decided to have sex with someone else that you didn't authorize her to have sex with.
So you were really traumatized by a lot of this bullshit that you were seeing going on around there, huh?
Yeah, actually, that's a good way to put it.
There was a part of you that
I was literally traumatized.
You couldn't look the other way like a lot of people would. Yeah.
No, I couldn't. I couldn't accept that this is the way it's supposed to be.
And would you say you have just a deep love for Michigan and the place that birthed you? Because
just people.
Yeah, because a lot of people, when they see the high crime rates in a place like Detroit or whatever, they just want to leave. They want to go move to the suburbs, whatever.
Right.
That was never even in your head, or
No. My point was, you know what? I really thought, like you said, trauma. That's a good point. You brought that up. It was very traumatic for me because I didn't know that we had this problem in America. I didn't know that in the United States you could actually home invade people and terrorize them and nothing would happen to you. I did not know that was even possible. So I'm literally traumatized. You mean the men will attack a female, beat her, torture her, and other people will cheer? I couldn't believe that. And so now I can tell you for sure. In fact, I thought the media was lying. I was like, there's no way this is happening. There's the media is making up stories. It can't be that can't be true. And what I can tell you, because we've been through these things now, yes, they will watch and they'll actually assist in the torture of a female or a male by himself, or even a male and female being tortured by a group, and they'll cheer.
Wow.
Random people will cheer as your sister, brother, your cousin, your niece and nephew is tortured in public, and they'll cheer for their deaths and assist in keeping them in the circle so they can be killed in front of them. And we stop these murders. We stop these group deaths physically. So what I did was my group stopped the murders and home invasions. We made it so the rich people got richer, because what happens is once there's no home invasions and murders, people stop moving out and people keep moving in.
Right.
Now your occupancy goes from 30% to 90% to a waiting list. Now the store at the end of the street is thriving because it has more customers. Because of our presence and because of our rules about the buildings, and because of the fact that we're in the area and we're highly responsive to people's needs, whether they're paying us or not. You know, it doesn't matter. We're not going to let anybody get attacked in the community, period. And as a result, it changed the quality of life for people that don't even live in the apartments. People live in the houses near the apartments.
Right.
I remember one sheriff's deputy, who's like 7 feet tall, comes into a place where my team members are meeting downtown Detroit, and he says, "Who's in charge of you guys?" And I was like, "Uh-oh." It's a sheriff's deputy in uniform. He's like damn near 7 feet tall.
Right.
And he's like a lieutenant. And he goes, "I want to know who's in charge of you guys." I was like, "Oh, that's me." I was like, "Oh,
Right.
what do my guys do?" Right? I thought some of my guys messed up or something.
Yeah.
He goes, "I want to say thank you. My mother has lived in that neighborhood on this street for the past 40 years.
Right.
She says because of you, she feels like she can sleep at night. And I want to thank you for that personally."
Wow.
I was like, "Wow, man, that's amazing."
Have you felt like you've always mostly had a good relationship with the police?
Not then. Back in that time, so that was my first probably had 3 or 4 positive police contacts.
Okay.
At that time. That's in the 90s. And this was like maybe the 5th one.
Right.
So there were some positive officers. These are officers that are community oriented,
Right.
that would support us, right? But that was very few and far between.
Some of the cops got to feel threatened by what you're doing,
No.
or they think you're fucking vigilantes, basically.
They
right?
didn't. It was just a thing of just. I wish it was that complex or that neat or that. I thought I wish it was that pure. It was literally not even that serious. It was more like just because you think you're somebody, or you are trying to help the people, or you believe in yourself is good enough to be targeted.
Right.
And then what happened eventually was I was training police officers, and I started employing them, and I started letting my organization. We became in charge of nightclubs where the gangs were.
Okay.
And they were also the hottest nightclubs. And so we became the people that would go up against gangs, and we would be able to stop them. We're the only organization that could actually stop gangs in Detroit physically. So as a result, we thrived.
How many people do you have working for you by that point?
Over 100.
Wow.
And I went from a dog and a rifle and, like nobody, to over 100 people a day, going out to different nightclubs and places to protect.
So this
in
is
a year and a half.
I assume this is when your business started to look better, when you started actually making some money and like really realizing like, wow, I got something here.
Yeah, and then I started thinking like, man, I guess I'm not gonna die. I thought, wow, I'm gonna actually make it. Like I could actually survive or something.
You figured this all out on your own in terms of running the actual business side of it, or
Yeah, and it was traumatizing, man, because you're dealing with people, and one of the hardest things to do is to manage people.
Right.
The biggest enemy to your business is your employees or your team members. It's not strangers. It's not
especially once you have 100 people. It's
yeah,
very hard.
They
Like I have
cannot even imagine.
maybe
man.
10 people. It's
Right.
like I can kind of keep an eye on what's going on, but when you have 100 people, it's got and they're deployed in all these different places.
Different
and-
cities and even different states.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was terrifying. Once the reality of the not just complexity, but the accountability. So as a civilian, remember, you're accountable for these people in every way. So my first job I would do at the beginning of every day is start apologizing for inappropriate statements or actions of people. I thought my full-time job was apologizing.
Wow.
So the thing is, we train every day.
Yeah.
So every day, in order for you to go to deploy to work, you had to train from 6 p.m. to 9 or 10 o'clock at night every single day. So
Just so you can go to work.
that night, and then and it was tactics, man.
And you have to keep doing that
Every day,
indefinitely. Wow.
So what happens is in 1 week, you're 20 hours plus tactical training. We're talking about elbow strikes, takedowns, disarms, knife disarms, gun disarms, every single day. And that's because people try to kill us often.
Wow.
So you cannot survive if you don't have a place to get your skills, and your skills, just like football or baseball or basketball or any other sport, boxing or anything, you have to use it.
Right.
And in real life, except the difference is they're trying to kill you.
Right.
So,
But all these guys you have working for you are armed as well?
It depends on the situation,
Okay.
right? So, but you know, what you find out is that guns are not going to really help you in a situation where you're in close quarters, you're in a place with lots of people. There's no field of fire that's clear. So this concept of using a gun to defend yourself against a gun doesn't work. And that's why, you know, there's people that have a job and they have 2 guns at the time of their death. And they were doing a great job. And a person with no training was able to kill them simply because the gun was not the proper solution to that situation. And,
Right.
I know some guys who were great officers, great people, and they died by being killed by someone who had no skill.
Right.
And that's because our idea that somehow we're going to be able to use our gun to defend against a person with a gun seems logical, but it doesn't work out that way biomechanically. And it doesn't mean the guys I know that died were not good guys. They were very good guys, and they were very knowledgeable. They were very skillful. But the skill that's most needed when dealing with human threat conditions is psychological. Being able to read body language. Reading means recognizing evasive, aggressive, deceptive behavior, and that's a lot of that psychological training. And that without that psychological edge, it wouldn't matter if your skills are superior to the other person. You didn't know that you were actually in danger yet. And as a result, you know, that's how you end up getting killed.
Right.
So we really, after many years of force-on-force conflict, we learned that the training needs to de-emphasize physical force and really emphasize psychological understanding, reading behavioral anomalies in people's behavior so that you can be ahead of their behavioral changes. And then I took it a step further, and now we're able to, because of our experience, we're able to teach people how to manage threats and create a condition that you're able to de-escalate someone by understanding how to project de-escalation.
Okay.
So de-escalatory body language, facial expression, voice inflection, body language. How do you project to someone, I'm not a threat to you, there's no reason for you to attack me, there's nothing to gain, and you're not gonna win all at the same time.
Right.
Right? And if you do that properly, you're not gonna have violent outcomes. But I had to learn that through bloodshed.
Right.
So through failure. So lots of failure, lots of bloodshed is how I learned, you know, what worked and what didn't. And now we're sharing that, you know, after 26 years of no court dates, no lawsuits, no deaths. You know, how do we do that? Well, it's strategy
So
and
that
learning.
26 years is the entirety of the business, or
Yeah.
you had some bad situations early on, or
Yeah, absolutely.
but no court dates. No. I mean, that's pretty amazing.
That's very amazing because you can get court dates for nothing. Literally, someone could just lie and
Right.
just get you some court dates.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, is that people that don't know that, they don't understand the legal system. They're like, that's no big deal. Oh, it's a very big deal. You can get a court date because someone lied,
Right.
and now you have to get a lawyer to prove it wasn't true. So that happens all the time. And what we do is show you how to create a condition where the witnesses see things your way because you did something in a legal way, and you formulated your actions based on civil and criminal understandings that you normally wouldn't have had.
But you said you've learned so much through bloodshed
And failure.
Has there been situations that played out in which you ended up feeling guilty because perhaps like the information that you were giving these people wasn't enough, and then like down the road you look back at it and you think, God, I didn't teach this guy enough for him to have protected himself? But you said no deaths as well, right?
No,
So-
I didn't know. I mean, there's no way for me to have changed that because I didn't know.
Right.
So it wasn't I didn't teach him.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. We learned this the hard way.
Right.
There is nobody else doing it. So
And no matter how well you train them, there's no telling that some crazy fuck's not going to pop out and shoot somebody.
right. But then what I did though is it doesn't matter how it happened. I blame myself under all conditions. So the way I was able to fix it is by blaming me. I
Right.
don't blame the government. I don't blame the police for not being there. I don't blame the violent criminals that attacked us and tried to kill us. I blame me, and I figured out what did I do wrong so that we could not have stopped this. Right? How do we miss this? How do we miss the cues? How do we misread the situation, or how did we, fail to prevent this negative outcome?
Right.
And if you do that, you can fix it. And you're never a victim. But the moment you say, well, sometimes, just stuff happens, you can't fix it in the future. You can't fix something that's not broken.
Right.
So you must figure out what you did that wasn't right, and then you can make the corrections. And that's what I did every single day for the past 26 years.
Our society's view on crime has changed a lot since the early days of you doing this kind of work, right? Like, we remember Bill Clinton talking about, super predators and just being tough on crime was like the attitude of the day. And now you see a lot of these more progressive politicians who they seem to really want to emphasize, rehabilitation for criminals, and a lot of the prisons in LA are more empty than they've ever been before, in terms of them just letting people out way before their full sentences are done. Like, what's your perspective on that? What's your perspective on crime as a whole, as like kind of a sickness on society? Like how do you think of that? And what approach do you
crime
think
is
better?
is about opportunity. It has nothing to do with anything else. It's just opportunity, real crime. Now, when you're talking about what you're experiencing here in California, most other places, you're experiencing something related to a lack of mental health services. That's not the same thing.
Okay.
So if I don't give you medicine, or I don't get my medicine, and I have a mental problem, you can't be mad at me when I do something that's illegal or inappropriate, because I don't have the medicine I need. So you're going to give it to me once I get in prison, right? That's not right. You shouldn't be waiting to give mental assistance to people when they're in prison. They should get that ahead of time. And then what happens is we'd have these problems. We got rid of our mental hospitals in this country, and then our prison system blew up. So we can try to blame Bill Clinton or some politics or something. That's not related to the overall larger issue. The larger issue is you closed, we as in the United States, as a nation, closed down the majority of our mental health facilities. Then, as a result, those people that had mental health issues then went out and did crimes. Then we called them criminal, and we locked them up, and we gave them mental health medicine.
Right.
That's why the largest place in the United States that receives psychotropic drugs is a prison, not a hospital.
Right.
Right? So these are people that needed psychotropic drugs before they went to the hospital, but we didn't give it to them until they got to the prison.
Right.
So once again, we're looking at a manufactured form of dystopian existence. We're creating these problems. Another example is Bernie Madoff made off with more money than all the criminals ever in history.
Right.
Right? But he went to college. He had a 2-parent household. He was a great parent, apparently, except for the part where he's stealing everyone's money.
Right.
And he went to college, right? So so did Ted Kaczynski and Ted Bundy and a lot of other people.
Right.
So the idea that there's a correlation between poverty and crime, that's manufactured. So where I'm from, Ann Arbor, which is a university town, the kids there have wealthier parents, and when they would steal a car, it's called joyriding. Where in Detroit,
in the hood, it's Grand Theft Auto.
it's Grand Theft Auto.
Right.
You could be riding in the car. You don't even know it's stolen. You thought the guy had permission from his aunt to drive the car. Turns out his aunt called the police and filed a police report for stolen car. Now you are a felon for riding in the car. Or my favorite is where I'm from in Ann Arbor. Since the '60s, marijuana has been legal. Okay, unofficially legal, right?
Okay.
And every year they have this thing called the hash bash, where people would take off their clothes, run down the street naked while smoking weed.
Okay.
Nobody gets arrested.
Right.
I come to Detroit, they're literally arresting kids for having one joint in the car,
Right.
and all the kids are being arrested for, this is in the '90s specifically, for possession of a Schedule C or whatever product, drug, and it's really serious, and they're getting felonies. And I was like, you're arresting these kids for a joint.
Right.
And I'm from Ann Arbor. Those kids have lots of joints all the time, and nothing's happening to them.
For sure, there's like unfair, sentencing and everything when you look at richer areas versus poorer areas, and the mental health thing definitely is true. But I mean, also when you look at like all these gang members that are basically shooting each other in Chicago and Detroit at record rates, I mean, I don't think most of them are mentally ill. Most of them are like
Absolutely.
18. They're like 16.
Most of them are mentally ill. And then when you have mentally ill people, they have babies. Those mentally ill babies, and they're also abuse victims. So you can't take 2 mentally ill people, have them have a baby, and then that baby be normal. That's abnormal. That's not true. You got a systemic issue here. When you have, I mean, you can go back to the very beginning. You have millions of people that don't even have a human name. Right? Millions of people that don't even have a name, don't have a religion from their community. They've been tortured for hundreds of years, and now they're just free to go out. And somehow some made it, but you're talking about trauma from.
But so you think that
millions of people? That's not going to go away overnight.
Do you think just like medicating more people is going to help solve like the crime crisis?
Those aren't crimes. Those are people with mental ill. So you're saying when a person thinks that you're the devil and comes over and attacks you, that's crime.
I just think that's probably a very small percentage of crime. We're seeing in LA, like the rise in crime has been people drive it, like probably largely gang members or people from bad areas.
People that are
they go to rich areas and they like will pull up with a gun and take somebody's Rolex. So they follow somebody home from the club. I mean, I don't really think that it's fair to say that those people are suffering from mental illness.
Oh, they absolutely
They
are,
want to make
100%.
money.
no.
It's more comparable to like the mafia or to, it's a gang that's come together to make money.
These people are mentally ill, 100%. And that you're talking about, they're actually raised by people that are mentally ill.
I don't doubt that there is some degree of mental illness, but it's also like a lot of these people are like, they're children. Like they're 16-year-old kids catching bodies all over LA.
Yes, and those people are trauma victims, and they're also abuse victims. And these victimizations were never dealt with. So although there are probably, for example, some porno stars that are just decided to be porno stars, there's also a lot of them who were abuse victims. No doubt, 100%.
Right,
okay.
sure, yeah.
So you're talking about, are there some that just had nymphomania? Possibly. Right. I'm sure there were. But a lot of them that are in the porno industry were literally victims of inappropriate treatment. And my point is that victimization, that's a huge systemic problem in our society. So if you go talk to these people, you'll understand. Now, they don't know they have mental illness. They think they're normal. They think that, that these behaviors are normal, okay? Especially, and this is what I found from being, by working with people, right? By being with those people that were at risk. I discovered that they're mentally ill. And when you say drugs, the drugs are how they are managing their mental illness. Right. They need marijuana, and marijuana is helping them. I mean, 100%, you're going to see a drop in crime automatically just because there's more access to marijuana. But unfortunately, before that, or in some cases, it was distorted with other things. It was mixed with other things. And then, of course, alcohol kills everyone. I mean, alcohol, the number of people that I've had to physically dominate that went to college is unbelievable. And we're talking about people trying to kill people just because they had alcohol, right? So alcohol, if we're talking about something that is a drug or causes, people to be violent or inappropriate, alcohol is the number one killer of people, right?
But even giving like the mental illness thing, if we give that to these people, like that still doesn't, like, how do you use that to inform how you then try to reduce the amount of crime in a place? Saying that they all have mental illness is fine, but that doesn't really seem like it would impact the way that you police people, right?
Well, you shouldn't be policing people anyway. You should be protecting them. Policing is a problem. So if you really want to stop violent criminal behavior, and you want to help a community thrive and survive, then you'd want to protect it, not police it.
Right.
Now, policing is a thing. It's a thing. It's quantifiable by negative metrics. In other words, how many people did you catch last year with drugs? How many arrests did you get? How many prosecutions did you get for murder? That's how you get money in a system that's based upon negative metrics. Now, if you wanted to do that in a way that was productive, then what you'd want to do is you'd want to have a positive metrics, like how many rapes did you not have this year? How many did you prevent this year? How many shootings did you prevent this year versus last year? There's no prevention metrics. Right. Okay, so we're talking
about.
How would
that? I mean, shootings just happen. I mean, cops can't be everywhere.
No, that's not how it happens. Though prevention is something you'd have to create. So that's what I do, as I create prevention. So prevention is, we don't wait. I'll give you an example. One of the things we do in the communities we work in Detroit. So we drive around with our lights on our vehicles, right? Our vehicles are black and they have chrome symbols and they have white lights. So because we have these lights on, criminals believe we are everywhere, but we're not, but they believe it. Now, I've had citizens and police say, why don't you turn your lights off so you can catch the criminals? Because we don't want to catch the criminals. We want them to leave the neighborhood by seeing us down the block. And that's what they do. So when you look at our crimes in our community, you see like the most serious crime in our communities in Detroit are going into someone's car when it's open, going through someone's backyard, but you don't break in their house, or you break a window, but the alarm goes off, you run away. So we don't have the home invaders and the murderers that do happen in Detroit. They're out there. They just don't come in our communities. We protect approximately 5,000 families. And that's homeowner associations that hire our team members.
But do you think that you guys are much more effective than the police?
It depends on what you're talking about. The police are much more effective at prosecutions. We have almost no prosecution. So if you were to use the metrics for law enforcement, we're horrible because we don't enforce any laws.
Well, how would you be able to prosecute anyone?
Well, you take them into we did prosecute. What do you mean? We have to stop them and take them into custody, and then the police come there and take them away from us.
But then they handle the actual prosecution.
Correct. But we're the ones that actually have to prosecute them, because otherwise, how do you know the person who caught them?
Okay.
Right. So in our case, we caught them, then we turn them over to the police, and then we have to testify that we caught the persons and everything like that.
Right. When you hear people saying defund the police, what is that? Does it stand out to you as a bad slogan, good slogan?
Horrible, horrible. You need to fund them 1,000% more.
Really?
Yes, in many ways. And the first way is they should not be under the age of 25, and they should have a law degree first, because in order for me to enforce laws, I'd have, first of all, be really good at knowing the law.
Right.
That's number one. I go to law school. The second thing I have to do is be really good at making good decisions. Right? I'm going to decide if you're a threat to me or not, and I'm going to shoot you. Right? I need to be really good at reading and understanding body language, and if not, it's going to be very difficult for me to.
The job of being a
you.
policeman is not designed to attract the kind of people that it needs. Like, the people we would ideally want extremely well-trained people, extremely courageous, smart people to do this job. In reality, it's not paying you an amount of money, and to go live in a place like in a rundown city, which is the kind of place that really needs effective police. I mean, there's just so many better options, like working for somebody with a company like yours,
of
right?
Police, 85% of police officers work outside of cities.
Right.
So keep that in mind. 85%. They're not doing nothing out there.
A smart young man who wants to get into law enforcement in Detroit would probably be able to make more money going and working for you than being a police officer, right?
Well, anywhere. You could work anywhere for money, but money is not the core issue. The core issue is knowledge. So, your knowledge base has to be pretty significant. If I was going to be into enforcing laws, I would have to know a lot more about laws and how to enforce them.
But somebody with a lot of knowledge probably is going to take that knowledge and go get a higher paying job somewhere.
Possibly, but there's a lot of very well-educated police officers, extremely. Especially where I'm from. Every police officer where I grew up had to have a 4-year degree, every one of them.
But even those police officers, they want to work in law enforcement. I mean, if they could work in law enforcement basically for a private company, I mean, that's probably got to be pretty attractive. I'm sure any cop is looking at the police department and thinking, this is probably not run optimally.
Well, no, I don't. I think if they think that, I've been spending some years explaining that's completely counterproductive. The private sector is good at servicing, private needs, right?
Right.
Privately, but not publicly, and not public needs. So you cannot serve the public using a private sector mentality in anything, in no regard. There's never a time where the private sector mentality is for the general public. It can be for a certain group of the public, right? But it can't be for the general public.
Because you mostly are operating in like affluent areas that can afford to pay for private security, right?
Correct. We work in all areas, but the ones that fund it are the wealthy.
You'd probably prefer to be protecting more poor areas, but those are probably the ones that
we
budget,
go
right?
anywhere. We protect everyone, so we don't care. So for us as an organization, I don't let money determine my course of action. I let money fund my actions.
Okay.
So when it was time to go to Hurricane Katrina, the first weekend that there was flooding and there was no water going to the people, I mounted a mission using my money, and my men volunteered, and myself, we volunteered to go down there and help the families. We deployed making our own mission, brought our own supplies. And we helped people. And we worked with government when we got down there, because they had Zodiacs, and we deployed with the Navy from the USS Tortuga, and we deployed with U.S. Airborne that were on the Army 82nd Airborne that were on the Zodiacs with us into the community, 9th Ward and flooded areas. So that is an example of what you can do when you decide to, do what is necessary to provide positive outcomes for people.
Just from a business perspective, though, that seems
There's
difficult.
no business there.
Right, but like you have all these employees, and presumably all of them are working all the time. How do you just take some of them and go do this mission somewhere else?
You can't take anyone anywhere. They have to volunteer.
Okay.
So that would be up to them.
But then who keeps doing the job back home?
The people that were working.
Okay.
Yeah,
you have extra people that like might be available.
Oh
at any given time?
we have people that that are volunteers. We have people that work. We have people that are just students.
Okay.
So we're a school first.
How many people at this point are you employing?
Well, it depends on what the situation is. So
But thousands?
No. Very small. So
Okay.
we're about 50 employees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we have probably another 100 people that we can call on for special events or situational conditions.
I was watching the segment that Vice did on you like 3 years ago, and it just seemed like, wow, there's like a bunch of people that are working under you to protect these different areas, right?
Yeah. So we have lots of team members, but we also have people that are volunteers that just like to help out. We have people that are professionals that like they just want to be a part sometimes to help with different events or situations and conditions. Because we help domestic violence victims, stalking victims, crime witnesses for free. So this is just something we've done for 26 years. That's all communities. So we don't just help people in Detroit. We help people for free that have someone who wants to kill them. And we have a formula to determine that. And we escort them to court. We make sure they, don't get killed before they go to court. And we provide them with whatever life-saving needs they have. Nice. So in 26 years, not one person we've protected in our free programs has ever been murdered or shot after we help them.
Nice. So then, okay, the school is the other part of the business?
No,
so
the school is the main part of the business.
main...
Everything comes from the school.
Really? Okay.
The school is everything. So without the school, you have nothing. Okay. Without the education, you literally have a liability and nothing.
Right.
So that's part of the problem. You cannot have, there's no way I would have anything whatsoever if I didn't have school first.
Okay. So everything kind of builds out from there?
From the school, yes. Education is the key to our success.
Interesting.
Which is why it's so strange for people to understand that, to think that you can go out protecting without extreme education. If you're gonna protect people properly, you're gonna have the extreme training.
Right.
Otherwise, you're going to be making a lot of mistakes, and you're going to have lots of problems. And as a civilian, you can't afford any of those.
But how much of the school is concerned with, like, in terms of like hours that's open, is concerned with training, people who are going to be high level security for you versus, like, I see you doing stuff with kids, or like, teaching women self-defense techniques, and these aren't people who are planning on getting into law enforcement. Right. This is more just useful stuff for them to know.
Yeah, so we teach people constantly. Every week you have to train. So regular civilians can train whenever they want, people that just from the community. But the people that actually go out and protect people have a requirement to train every week, and they test every week.
Right.
So it's a very serious training environment for people that are going to go out and protect people.
What kind of advice do you give to like a woman who maybe has to walk some amount of time in an urban area and she's scared for her safety? Like, how do you, aside from like the individual techniques or whatever, do you advise them to carry pepper spray? What kind of stuff would you recommend?
Well, I mean, anything that you decide to carry can increase your survivability. But the most important thing you have to have is the education. So education is understanding psychology, law, and skill in that order. If you can't read body language, if you can't read the intentions of people, then it won't matter if you have a gun or two guns. If you got 10 friends with you, you have to have the knowledge on how to read people and situations and conditions in order to survive. And that's what we teach. And that's what will save your life. Guns and knives, they're tools, right, but they won't matter if you don't understand how to read people. So at the end of the day, the reality is that guns and knives are a liability without psychological understanding of predatory behavior.
Right.
So you have to be able to read conditions, read people, read their intentions prior to them initiating actions for it to be positive.
So for all these years, you are mostly in the shadows. Like, were you putting effort into being a public persona or a public figure? Obviously, it's good for your business.
I've been very public the whole time.
Oh, so you have been, just not on a national level as much?
We've been CNN. We've been on Russian TV. We've been featured in international publications with Viceland and Vice. I mean, I've never seen anybody with so much national, international publicity for protecting people, right?
Right.
Like literally in the private sector. I've never seen this much publicity prior to the YouTube and TikTok,
right,
and Instagram.
But so that's what I'm talking, kind of like the era before all that. Like, was that something that you always saw the value in, like going on the news, going on morning shows?
Oh, absolutely, because the point is to let people know there's solutions. You don't have to be a victim. That's always been our point. We have solutions for you. You don't have to just let yourself be killed. You don't have to let yourself and your family suffer. There are solutions, and it's you. You are your own bodyguard, and we're going to help you by training you and protecting you if you need it, if it's extreme. But ultimately, the more people we have educated, the more safe the families are going to be. That's our point of our purpose,
right,
is to empower people with the ability to protect themselves.
Right.
So that's at the end of the day, I don't care if we use humor. I don't care if we, how we do it. Let's get the information out there. Let people make people look at it, and they're going to accidentally learn stuff by accident. They're going to learn things they didn't even think they were learning, because most things in our life are subconscious anyway.
Right.
So we're going to affect you consciously and subconsciously. You don't even realize it. When you're looking at our videos, you're going to see things you didn't even know were an issue, such as moving what's in front of the gun. You know, if someone pointed a gun at you, and you remember this one thing, move what's in front of the gun, you can literally save your life just by doing that one thing.
Right.
And what could that be? That could be a coworker. That could be what is mostly going to kill people, which is someone you know. Most people that kill people are known by their murderers.
Right.
So imagine if you knew how to keep yourself alive and safe, and take a step further, know how to read body language.
Right. Can you guys pull up the video of me getting the gun put in my face? I'm sure he hasn't seen this. And
No, I have
Yuri,
not.
can you move the TV so that he's able to view it? I wasn't even planning on doing this at all, but this seems like I basically was on a live stream in the back of my old shop. So like this place is pretty private, but we had a store in like a very public area, and basically we were sitting, basically doing what we're doing right now, and there was a door that's like directly facing the alley behind our store, and while we're getting our Postmates brought in, this kid wearing a mask actually like runs in with a gun and basically like tries to rob me while I'm on live stream. And the really crazy thing about it was that we had a security guard who actually pulled out a gun and had it to this guy's head from behind. He actually didn't shoot the guy for whatever reason, but it was a very, very strange scenario. And I'd just like to know like what you would advise in terms of what you would say that I should have done.
Well, what I can tell you right now is if that guard would have shot him, you probably would have been shot.
Yeah, we thought about that. It turned out it wasn't a real gun.
Yes, but if
which
it
is
had
kinda
been
scary.
Yeah, but if it had been, if he shot the guy, okay,
Yeah.
he still would have shot you. And
Okay.
there's actually cases like that right now. People don't think that because they watch television and they think if you shoot the person, it stops them.
Right. Throw us in the corner so that we can have the audience watch along with us on this one. And full screen it. You can put the audio on too. You see me laughing because I wasn't sure if it was a prank or not for a moment there.
I would have thought it was a prank.
So then, at about really, it took about 10 seconds there, and then the guy ends up on the ground, and we end up beating the shit out of him. But yeah, I'm wondering what would be maybe we can freeze frame
Yeah,
at sort of
go
one
back.
of the main inflection point here, where
So right there, look where the gun is at. Look where the gun is at.
Yeah.
It's right there in your face.
right,
So all you had to do from here is move, move your head out of the way, grab the gun,
Right.
and redirect the barrel. And I'll
Okay.
show you that right now, so you can see how easy this actually is.
okay,
It's the lack of commitment because obviously we didn't go over this ahead of time.
right, yeah.
But you notice you still survived.
Yeah. Well, luckily it wasn't a real gun.
Yeah.
And luckily, maybe even if it was a real gun, he didn't seem terribly serious. Like he was really planning on murdering me. Well, I guess he would have had a real gun if he wanted to murder me. I don't know what he thought was going to happen. Right.
So if the criminal has the gun,
You want me to be the one holding
you
it?
wanna-
Or?
you got a guy with the gun?
Yuri, you want to act as the guy with the gun?
So the gun was here, it's literally in your face, right? So from here, I'm kind of you there, right? Something
Right.
like that. So from here, you're gonna move your head, and you're gonna go right here.
Twist it up.
Yeah, and he's gonna hold it hard, Okay, so he's holding it hard, and even when he's holding it hard, it comes right out of the hand.
Ooh.
So it doesn't matter how strong the person is. When you grab it with your hand, hold it tight, got it tight, it comes right out of the hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sort of twist it back. The
Yeah,
wrist can't do anything.
Correct. It's the hand itself is going to release
Right.
the weapon, and all you're doing is going. I'm not going to get your strength here.
Give me
actually
all your
strong,
money.
so I'm going up over the
Okay.
muscle groups, and it's going to come right back out.
Right.
And so it doesn't matter how strong they are because watch this. Hold with two hands. Okay. Now push the gun towards me. Even a finger can stop it.
I would probably dip around
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. How about that?
Yeah, but we're just talking about the fact that it's a lever. So
right.
when a person, even though you have two hands on it, one hand is going to be strong enough to take the gun from you.
Right, if you
As long
twist
as you
it
grab the
towards
barrel.
there, yeah.
Right. But watch this. Grab with two hands. If I put my hand here, push now. You can just push. Yeah, you can push it and overpower me. There's no way I can stop that action
Right.
because I'm holding here.
Okay.
Okay. You actually have leverage here, but here the person holding here
Yeah.
always has control of the weapon.
I like it.
Right, this will save your life. So no matter who you are, if you grab the barrel, you can save your life. If you grab the hand, which is, honestly, unfortunately, what people do
Right.
is they actually grab the hands of the person,
Right.
and that's how you actually get killed.
Yeah.
If you grab the barrel, you'll always survive.
Whenever you watch that, it's like I'm trying to create space between me and the person,
Yeah.
Which is maybe okay, but really it's not going to stop them from shooting at you through your hands.
Yeah, and what
Yeah.
you want to do is you want to get close to them. You don't want to let them get back away from you.
Okay.
You always want to attack your attacker. So if you got shot once, the only thing worse than getting shot is getting shot again.
Yeah.
So hurry up and get the gun.
Right.
So if he had shot you, right, like anywhere here, if he would have shot you, you still need to get the gun.
Yeah.
So you need to go forward, which is what you did. You went forward towards him.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did the right thing. So now you kind of backed up though at first, right?
Yeah.
That actually gave him more space.
Yeah.
So even if the gun is up here in the air,
Right.
If you hold it up like that, it doesn't matter. It comes right out of the hand. It's super easy.
Yeah, I can kind of imagine how that would have worked out.
Yeah. So you see how easy it is? Just literally, you just snatch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You almost did. You almost
I
did.
almost did. I kind of whacked it, but I didn't really get a grip
And look
on
how he
it.
just
Yeah.
keeps sticking it out there in front. He's actually trying to give it to you the whole time.
Yeah.
You can just. Whoop.
I mean, if he had actually.
And that's why we teach this stuff, man. You now know principles that, honestly, that right there,
Yeah.
you would just take the gun from the kid. Just come here.
He would
And
be
you'd be like,
done.
this is not even real. This kid doesn't have a real gun. Get out.
This motherfucker.
Right.
All right. Well, I'm glad we got that analysis out of the way. So, at what point did you decide social media is going to be an important part of continuing to build my business?
Well, it was not really purposeful. My wife was like, "Hey, we should just do something with the TikTok thing."
These
or
these
something."
girls love
We're
TikTok.
like playing around.
Yeah.
We're like, we should just put some videos on there. I was like, okay, wife, let's do that.
Yeah.
And so she was like, next thing you know, she's like, oh, I'm going to study these algorithm things or something they're doing with hashtags or something. And
Mm-hmm.
she just did something. She looked up some stuff and did some research and like she's like, I'm paying this lady $100. She's going to show us what to do on here. I was like, $100 to talk to you? She's like, yeah. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. So she talks to her. She's like, oh my God, you could do it this way. And you guys did it. So she listens to her. She starts uploading stuff. She puts hashtags and she does a timetable. She does same time per day and number of videos per day. And there's a formula. Next thing you know, it just goes crazy.
It went crazy.
Oh man, we got through almost 3 million followers in 2.5 months.
And so from the
3 months. In 3 months, we had 2.8 million followers
Wow.
on TikTok in 3 months.
And from the beginning, it was the kind of stuff that you would just be teaching someone in your classes, like
Anyway,
sort of.
yeah, normal. Yeah,
Just the stuff
And it's
you
a watered
learned throughout
down
your
version.
career.
What we're teaching is basics. I'm not
Right.
teaching our advanced stuff. I don't teach how to use firearms. I don't teach how to use a knife. Majority of our knife and our baton stuff. I teach things designed specifically not to kill people.
Right.
And I'm showing people a lot of methods on de-escalation and not injuring people. And that's what we really emphasize on there. And people are loving it.
Right.
But some people are taking it wrong in that they're not understanding that we're showing you some basic things that will help you survive. We know that they will because they helped us survive.
Right.
Right. It's based on years of experience in bloodshed. Right. Not in theoretical sports classes or, classes that are based upon winning trophies or breaking boards and doing things where there's going to be a referee.
Right.
This is understanding force and force conflict, and the police are coming, and you have to know how to communicate your actions and articulate them properly so that you don't have problems in your life, right? And this is where we have a little disconnect because some people are getting caught up in sport thinking in a survival scenario, and that is not healthy.
Right. Yeah, because this is my question. Did you feel like the attention that you're getting on TikTok was in the beginning largely positive, and then it started to, as you became very popular, you started to get this wave of negativity?
No, it was extremely negative verbally, or the minority is very verbally overt. So it's a very small group of people, but they're very vocal. So the vast majority of people are extremely positive, the vast majority. But the minority of these people that are trolls and haters, they're very vocal. So you would have, we have videos with millions of likes, and the dislikes are the thousands, right? But you'll have millions of likes.
Right.
So,
but you can't really say it's just haters, right? Because I was watching a bunch of YouTube videos, and I definitely saw like a lot of black belts and a lot of people who are very familiar with MMA and stuff. Who seem like they have
those
a
are
lot
trolls. Those are your credentials are still, the credentials don't stop you from trolling.
Right. But I mean, you can't just say they're all trolling. Like people talk shit
that's
about
trolling.
me all the time. I can say that I think some percentage of them are just trolls looking for reactions, but there's got to be some valid arguments, right?
Well, I mean, no. And in this case, so if I do something like, if I do something that, falls under their category, I guess. But I mean, I don't have anything to do with it. What we do has nothing to do with what they do. They don't do what we do. None of them are going to go out into the neighborhoods and go protect people. They're not going to do that. They're not going to go after class or leave class and go protect people. They're not going to go take their, they're not going to leave their school and say, come on, guys, let's go outside and go protect these families. They're not going to do that. And there's a reason, because you will be killed 100%.
Is it weird though for you to see somebody like 50 Cent having negative things to say about you? Like, that's just going to be kind of weird to have this like massive superstar being negative about your content.
Well, 50 Cent, I'm not sure he. First of all, he's a superstar that is sharing media, and without him, millions of people would never have heard of me.
Right. So
technically, what he's doing is helping me.
Right.
So, and he's actually said that in some of his other media situations with other people, that when he says something, it actually helps the people he's saying something against.
Right.
Which is true. I mean, our stuff blew up.
Yeah.
Tonight we're going to go talk to Snoop Dogg and do some tactics with him, and he's one that was right there with the 50 Cent.
Right.
So we're going to show gun disarms with Snoop Dogg today in LA, and we just connected with him today.
That's
so we're
amazing.
excited about that. Yeah, but it's gonna be great, and I look forward to that with 50 Cent. I was overseas with 50 Cent on his tour, Get Rich or Die Trying.
Oh, way back in the day.
Yes, I was with him. Yeah, I was Fabulous's bodyguard, which Fabulous is his cousin, by the way.
Wow.
And I was with him for 30 days, man. 28 cities in 30 days. And I know he doesn't remember me, because he probably doesn't put out of context.
That's crazy.
He doesn't realize that guy was with him every day overseas back then. But 50 Cent would probably be shocked to know that was me back then. And my first day on the job, I was in Denmark and had to put a guy down on the ground, take him down, because he was trying to assault Fabulous in Denmark.
Wow.
And so I took him down without incident, without injuring him, which means with no court dates, right? Which is why you never heard about it. But it was my first day. I just met Fabulous. We went to McDonald's, which we always go in, and this happened inside McDonald's.
Rappers always go to Europe and just eat McDonald's.
They have to go to McDonald's and Foot Locker. The two things you're going to do. You're going to go to McDonald's and every Foot Locker in Europe, and they have them everywhere.
Yeah.
Foot Locker's no joke.
That's a fact. Yeah.
And I've been there. Scotland. I was in Ireland. I went to every Foot Locker.
Wow. Yeah, that was one of my questions, is how deep your hip hop ties go. Like, if you had a lot of connections to rappers, being in Detroit all those years, a lot of famous Detroit rappers over the years.
Yeah. So I've had a chance to have contact with protection for many of the artists over the years. DMX. Gun disarms with various artists, and I was overseas. That was amazing to be on that tour, because that's when rap really just went to the next level.
Right.
It was one of the biggest international tours ever.
Right.
I didn't know that it was that serious, but 28 cities throughout Europe in 30 days is a lot.
Are you aware, though, that Detroit has really been exploding over the last couple of years in terms of, like, really their street rappers in particular? Like, a lot of dudes are really from there, really from grimy-ass areas, and they've just been blowing up over the past couple of years. It's been pretty wild.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And Flint as well.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Detroit has a lot of talent, always has that talent. The problem was you couldn't have they didn't have a lot of access to use the talent.
Right.
So that's changed recently. But Eminem is influential in that. He brought a lot of attention to the Detroit scene, and some other rappers. Royce the 5'9" is very active there.
Royce the 5'9" has seemed to be a little skeptical of some of your techniques on Instagram as well.
Until recently.
Oh, so you backtracked a little?
Oh, he's 100%. He's 100% behind us now.
Really?
Yeah, I went to his studio,
wow.
and we had a chance to do the gun disarms.
Oh, wow.
He's a true believer. Very positive, professional guy. Once he saw that it actually is real, he went right on there and said, "Hey, stuff's real." He didn't realize that he knew me, because we actually, had crossed paths back in the day. My organization protected all the most seriously violent clubs in Detroit, and he was very well aware of us then, but didn't realize we're the same people.
Wow.
So he was like, "Oh, that's Dale from River Rock back in the day."
Right.
So he now he remembers. So we did a lot of extremely violent nightclubs.
Wow.
And people mostly know us from that. And the Vipers, which is it's a bodyguard section,
right?
And stands for Violence Intervention Protective Emergency Response System.
So did you start that? You own that?
That's my bodyguard system. Yeah.
Okay, and that's still just an active business. Is that completely?
That's
separate?
not a business. That's not a business. It's a class. It's a class. It's a class.
Oh, okay,
right.
okay.
It's just the bodyguard section of training.
Okay.
Right. So that's a program within our organization.
Oh, nice.
So Vipers is its own. That's the bodyguard section. But that's what it means. It's a course of study.
Oh, it's so cool that you have all these different businesses that all stem from the same thing, but are able to handle different things in different situations, from an individual to a neighborhood to a celebrity.
Right. There are different aspects of the education system. So
Right.
Vipers is an educational program. Then we have, for police, we have an enforcer tech program.
Right.
And that's training. For example, the core training we give to police officers is called NICE, which stands for Non-Injury Compliance Extractions.
Okay.
And that's training we just give to any police officer.
You love acronyms, huh?
I do.
Has that always been a thing for you?
You can never have enough acronyms.
That's one thing I always notice with rappers, is that the guys who are maybe like late 30s, 40s, like, you know, even 2 Chainz. 2 Chainz stands for something crazy. Like all those Wu-Tang dudes, they
Right.
loved an acronym.
Yeah, exoteric meanings.
Yeah,
You have
yeah.
to have that.
Yeah, I got to work on that more. Okay, so one of the videos that really stood out to me, and I saw it kind of getting roasted on Twitter, and I wanted to know if you had any thoughts about it now. It's basically like a woman, she's walking, she's holding her child's hand, and then like this guy comes from behind, tries to grab the child, and then she just does this little like wrist trick on him.
It's
Boom.
thumb release.
And the guy just sort of backs away.
Yep.
Do
So
you-
here's what it is. Make a fist. Watch, I'll
Okay.
show you. Okay, so he grabs, you come here, and make a fist.
Yeah.
Yeah, you come here.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
so
it.
you just
So
push up on
that's
the
it.
thumb right there.
Yes, and
That's
that
what you're
makes them
trying to
let your child go.
Okay.
Okay, and that's one of the basic ways we get them to let something go.
Right.
Now, does that mean that's the only thing you'll be using? No, that's one of multiple levels
Right.
of response. There's 3 levels of response: escape, control, immobilize.
Okay.
Okay. If you can't escape from them, you have to control them. If you can't control them, you immobilize them. If you're going to immobilize someone, you're not going to punch and kick them. You're going to take from them their ability to see, breathe, stand.
Okay.
Okay, the things you can't use in sports.
How would that woman do that to that?
She would take
Child
her
abductor.
She would, if she was more serious, she could take his thumb and use it to control him.
Okay.
She could take his wrist and control him. She could take his nose and throw him to the ground, right?
Okay.
Or she could take his eyeball and rip it from his face.
Ooh, I like that.
With one move, with one motion. You just take the finger right to the eye and the nose, between the eye and the nose, right here,
You have
and
to
just
do,
hook outward.
You have to do much eye gouging in your career?
Absolutely.
Really? Because that
Throat
always
gripping.
that stands out to me as like the one technique that we know is super effective, but I
That
think
you can't use in any sports.
human beings kind of
No, they do it.
they don't tend to do it
Oh,
as
they-
much as you would think that they would.
Yeah,
want.
that's because they're not taught to do that. They're
Yeah.
not. It's not something that they're taught to do.
It's kind of unpleasant.
Yeah, and it's also going to get you in a lot of trouble if it wasn't done legally.
Really?
So, you know, what we're also trying to show you through our training is how not to injure people by design.
Right.
So we don't want to show people that when your boyfriend, ex-husband, or whatever, the father's child grabs the child, that you go and eye gouge him and stab him. We want you to, if you're having a domestic issue, which most issues are domestic, we're trying to show you how not to injure and kill each other.
That is a good you know, thing to compare it to. Is like every guy has been in the situation where their wife or girlfriend is trying to beat the shit out of them. How do you stop them from beating the shit out of you? My girl, luckily, is very sane. She has never tried to do that. But in the past, I've had to deal with this. How do you restrain them from attacking you
Yes.
without doing anything physical to them? Because obviously the law and society would look down upon that.
Yeah, and you know, even if it doesn't, you know, when you're using force and violence domestically, it's just not a good thing.
Yeah.
But most of your problems are domestic. Right? The most violence between you and a friend, a neighbor, a relative, you know, a cousin, a colleague, someone at work. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like you're having real problems with strangers normally.
Right.
Your problems are domestic. Most people have problems at work with someone.
Right.
Does that mean you should be, you know, knocking their eyeballs out and smashing their skull or shooting them? No. Just because your aunt is insane or your grandmother or somebody lost their mind and they want to grab a knife, does that mean you now legally kill your family member? You shouldn't.
No.
Right.
No.
So we want to show you all these ways to not kill people by design. That's the focal point of our training.
Definitely.
How do I use the law, but also knowing that I could use more force, I could also find a way not to.
Right.
So that's why you see us like the thumb technique. I'm like,
That
yeah,
hurt.
we could just show her, you know, smashing the eye or, you know, striking the throat or hitting the knee or stabbing him or pulling out a gun and shooting. But who normally in these situations, especially if it's a guy grabbing a child, which you can look up on Google, you can go on YouTube and look up man attempts to snatch child. And that's exactly what they're doing. They literally grow up and grab them, and they're right there with the mom sometimes, and the moms are usually fighting them back and, you know, pulling the child. And it's not some big major terrorist act. These are
Right.
mentally ill people. A lot of them are literally mentally ill, and they're like grabbing the child, going, "This is my child," or something. There's a bunch of them on there. Go look at them. You'll be like, "Wow, thought it'd be something more serious. Nope, it's not more serious.
I feel like part of the reason why people were laughing at that one though is the acting on behalf of the predator, because he just sort of backs away like this. He just immediately gives up.
Yeah,
that might have been part of
but
what
actually,
people
it's actually worse. They give up worse than that in real life. You go online, you'll see that the little kids actually defeat him.
Really?
Yeah, go look it up. You'll be like, wait, she just did some move and just got free from the guy snatching her at the store, at the grocery store, at the convenience store. I mean, they literally just the guy grabs the kid just and gets free. Like, wait, what's your special training for that? She has no training. She just literally freaked out and just, the guy just drops her and she just takes off running.
Right.
There's a bunch of those. And so these are on camera. And there's other ones where the guy just grabs the child, or teenager. One's like somewhere down south, I think it was, a guy grabs the daughter in like a CVS or something, like a regular store, and starts pulling the child. I think it was a grocery store, and she's pulling this guy's like a teenager, like maybe he's like 20 or something, like slim guy. He's grabbing the teenager, pulling her from the mother. The mother's pulling her arms and legs, and then some other people came around and kind of pushed him off, and that's it.
That's some scary shit.
But it happens all the time, and is that guy like some sinister, terrorist? No, he's some mentally ill person that thinks he can just go grab someone's child.
Right.
He doesn't have a great sinister plan. Didn't have a shotgun or rifle. He didn't have, some giant, made up van. He's going to grab the kid and go where? Like into his car or something.
Why don't more people microchip their kids like cats, so that if they get abducted, they can basically triangulate where they're at?
Well,
can I put a microchip in my kid's ear or something?
I don't think they have a tracking chip, do they?
I think they have. I mean, if you can do it with a cat, why can't I
do
do
they
it
have a
with a
tracking
person?
chip for cats?
Yeah, you could put a little microchip in them, and that way, if they get lost, you can track them down.
Oh, yeah, really? I didn't know about that. I heard they have a chip
so.
where you could actually read it, but you couldn't track
The
it.
veterinarian could then use the chip to return. Yeah, you're right.
Right. So that's right. That's different. So that really wouldn't be helpful.
But these little Apple AirPod things
Yes,
or whatever that they're
yes.
using, people be putting them under people's cars, and then they'll
Yes.
track your car, figure
That's
out where you
right.
live, that kind of thing.
As long as they have access to internet.
Yeah, I'm gonna make my kids swallow one before she leaves the house.
Right.
That way we can track her.
They
down.
do have tracking for your phones, right?
Right.
But you also have watches.
Yeah.
Like the Super Watch.
Wow, what the hell is going on
This
there?
is a Super Watch.
You can do everything on there?
Yes. This has a SIM card. It's an actual phone.
Jesus, look at
Watch.
that.
It's
like
waterproof.
3 times the size of an Apple Watch.
It has a camera. It can do audio, video, live video feed.
Wow.
It is. It can read your vitals and send in real time cellular to the cloud. So you have a tracking watch that's waterproof and can do video and audio.
That's pretty
underwater.
cool.
Just in case you needed that.
That just turns you into even more of like the Batman type personality that I think
And
of
then you have
as.
bone conduction earpiece. Bone conduction.
Bone.
Yes, this is called aftershocks.
And you just wear this all the time? And
All the time.
You
This
do
is
phone calls through it or
yes,
what?
music. You can listen to your music. You can go jogging. It's also waterproof.
Wow.
This is a great tool. This is what we use in our company, our employees,
And
and
it
our team
connects to
members.
your watch or your phone?
This connects to anything you want it to connect to that has Bluetooth. And you can listen to your music, but your ear channel stays open because it doesn't touch your ears. It reads through the bones of your face.
Oh, wow. That's
So you're listening to your music through the bones of your face. It means you can still hear people.
Wow. I need to check that out.
Yes, this is it's windproof as well, so you can actually hear in high winds.
I like it.
Yeah, but if you're underwater, you can actually hear underwater.
That's pretty good. I got to check that out.
Not sure why you'd want to hear underwater, but you could if you wanted to.
Are there any of the memes or parodies or anything like that you've actually genuinely found funny? What about the
All of
guys
them.
when they wake up and they're in heaven? It's
I-
pretty funny, right?
I think they're all funny. Like they're all super funny. And then, especially the ones where I'm in them.
Yeah.
The ones where I'm in them are really the funniest one. My favorite though is the one where I talk about the ignorant commentator.
Okay.
My translator. Did you see that one?
I
Ignorant
don't think so.
translator. Oh, that's the funniest one. Ignorance translator. Ignorant comment translator.
Oh, okay. I got to check
So
that
I got
out.
it from the Obama translator.
Okay.
So my guy is translating the ignorant comments while I address them in a intellectual way.
Oh, okay.
Because I get so many dumb comments, man. It's
Yeah.
just crazy how stupid people are. It's literally insane.
I mean, people are hating you online is a very, very good chance that they're going to mostly be the lowest rung of society.
Yeah, I just can't believe the ignorance level. Like there are people that believe that when a gun's action is open, it can still fire.
Right.
But we're not talking about 2 people. We're talking about thousands of people. Are like, you're dumb because the gun goes like this doesn't mean it can't shoot.
Right.
Yeah, it does mean that it can't shoot. It's designed that way.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, dumb, you don't know guns. Because if you go like this, it can still shoot the bullet because it's in the chamber. No, it can't.
Right.
So I go online and I do a video where I show it.
Right.
Right? It's not firing. And they're like, duh, I think it still shoots. But I just showed you it doesn't shoot. So I went to the gun range. I did this one like last week.
Right.
I went to the range. I showed a real Glock. Boom. See, fires.
Yeah.
Now watch this. Whoop. No fire. No fire.
Right.
Huh? See, we're at the range? Huh?
Yeah.
Now I'm going to let it go. Whoop. Boom. Fires again. Now, we do know it doesn't fire when the action's open.
Right. But
I still get 1,000 comments. I think it will shoot if the action's open. I just showed you it doesn't do that.
Right.
What are you talking about?
I was gonna say, like, even you
Block comments,
presenting
block
that-
comments.
Even you presenting that evidence is probably not gonna stop people from saying. things
Listen,
like that,
it
right?
didn't stop them. They're like, no, seriously, a lot of them didn't convert. They're like, okay, I think it doesn't. Okay.
Right.
Like, okay. So I thought I was lying.
Did you get your TikTok banned at one point?
Oh, not one point. It is still banned.
It's still banned.
That's not our TikTok.
For
You're
what?
looking at someone else's TikTok. You're allowed to be us, but we can't be us.
Right. Why did you get banned?
Because I was uploading content they considered to be against their rules.
Right.
And that is like I showed, because people were like, no one stands close to you with a gun. Because it's a long range weapon.
Right.
So you think you can rob, rape, and kill people from over there.
Right.
Obviously, you're not a bad guy. Obviously, when you study bad guys, you don't even study data. You have an experience, but you have a lot of opinion. I mean, you should see the number of experts that know nothing about violent crime. How will you rape someone over there? You do know that men rape women every day and they use guns, okay?
Right.
They can't do it over there. They have to go over here where the woman is. And they rape men too. And you know where they go? They go to them. You know when they're going to take something from someone? Do you know they don't trust you? So they don't stand over here across the room and go, listen, I don't want you to take my gun. I'm scared of you. I'd like you to take everything out of your pockets and I trust you. I'm not going to touch you because I don't want you to grab my gun.
Right.
That's not going to ever happen. And they're going to, not only are they going to put the gun on you, it's a form of power and control. They also know you're not going to do anything to that gun. They know for a fact you're not going to touch the gun.
Right.
So TikTok got mad because I showed videos with guns up to people's heads. Lots of videos, lots of pictures. They got mad about that.
But they're not supposed to get mad about this because it's clearly a prop, right?
Actually, they let us do the props, but a lot of people weren't even allowed to use prop guns on TikTok. Yeah.
I mean, people just get stuff removed from TikTok and Instagram really so consistently that clearly doesn't go against the terms of service, but it's almost impossible to get like a human review on your content.
Oh,
right?
yeah. My wife went crazy and started sending all kinds of stuff to them because we had, it became a revenue source for us. We were like, oh, wow, we didn't know it was going to be like this.
Yeah.
And, TikTok is like, it's a revenue source, but you know what happened? We got pushed to our YouTube account. My wife goes into the algorithms and the analytics and starts studying and does some other stuff. And next thing you know, does her research. We go to 1 million subscribers in 2 months, 2.5 months.
YouTube has been good to you guys.
And 100% better.
But it's just crazy how
100%. Listen, it was
TikTok and
TikTok.
Instagram-
The greatest thing that could have happened to us is TikTok push us over to this. And Instagram is doing great too. So
But it would be nice to be able to do both,
Well, TikTok is more for kids. And I was cussing people out on there because I wasn't good at social media.
Okay.
And they were talking, I was talking, I would talk about their mother, and then they would be like, "I'm 12," and I was like, "Oh, oops, block again."
Right.
So I'm getting better now about my discipline. You're not supposed to be yelling at people and calling them names on TikTok, and I was getting in trouble for that too.
Okay.
They were like, "They can cuss you out, but don't cuss them out." Wait,
Wow.
what?
So you actually got TikTok to tell you that? Or just that's the general.
Which part?
They can cuss you out, but you can't cuss them out.
Yeah, because they weren't blocked. They would block
Right.
me.
Yeah.
They're like that comment goes against our rules. I
That
was like,
video I just showed you with the guy putting the gun in my face, I think somebody put it on TikTok a couple months ago and it got like 5-6 million views. And I told my TikTok guy, I said, hey, we should throw that up on our TikTok. He goes, I wouldn't even bother because they're going to get the fucking video deleted because of it's a gun. Sure enough, it was deleted the next day.
Yeah, no. And there was a toy gun that doesn't matter. So they let us keep our guns. So one thing I would say, TikTok did allow that, but didn't allow us to show real images of real crimes, right? Which I needed to do because I needed people to understand that I don't care about the social media part, really. It was about education. We make money. I don't need TikTok money. I don't need that money.
Right.
Okay, what I do need to do is share with people real stuff that can help them. So the purpose of me putting the videos up was so you understand this really happens. Like you just saw with you. The guy put the gun to your head more than once. Well, on TikTok and on YouTube, experts, experts. They're
Like if
saying
you
that
were to use that video to make a video on TikTok about like just proving this is a real situation, this is what
they
it might
block
look like,
Yeah,
that
they
would
block
get
it.
taken down.
But not just that. Remember, I'm dealing with experts on internet. They're experts. They're not like me. They're experts, and they assure me that I'm wrong. No one puts a gun that close to someone's head. Except
if
this
that guy
liar.
had stood across
Except
the
this liar.
room with the gun, I would have been very confused. I would have done, was the fucking movie?
Yeah, you'd be like this guy over there with the gun. Are you with the guy delivering my food?
That's the one thing I notice now in movies, and I've been watching this show Money Heist, and it's like everyone's always pointing a gun at you, and then someone else is pointing a gun. All of a sudden, there's 5 guns pointing. I'm like, this would not happen in real life, where everybody's just having this permanent fucking standoff and having a whole conversation.
Well, no, that would probably really happen because in order for you to shoot someone, there several things have to happen. There has to be a need, an opportunity. Right?
Yeah.
A lot has to happen.
But it's like the guy who's got the gun pointed at someone's head is now allowing other people to pull out their guns, and everyone's like,
that's because in
someone's
real
going to
life-
shoot you at some point.
No. Most people don't shoot guns. Remember, they just point them.
I know a lot of people who get shot or have been shot the last couple of years. I don't
but
know.
most people don't.
Yeah.
Most people that pointing. It's for power and control. If you do anything about guns, you wouldn't even use a pistol,
Right.
Because it doesn't stop them.
Well, what do you
so
think
the real
about-
reason you get a pistol is to control them psychologically,
Right.
And if you knew better, then you would use a shotgun or rifle,
Right.
But pistols don't. They're not good at stopping people. So you can shoot people in the face. There's bullets going. That's why I put the videos up and the pictures up. It's just so people to have this understanding.
Right.
In real life, people are not dying from getting shot. They're dying from hypovolemic shock, meaning you lost too much blood.
Right.
So, and they're also complying and still getting shot. So I put a bunch of videos up and pictures up about that, and then TikTok got mad about that. But I needed a bunch of truth out there because I'm having the same conversation with people every day.
Right.
I'm an expert in firearms, and I know for a fact that blah, blah, blah. Now, you don't know nothing. You're theorizing. You didn't go out here with boots on the ground. You're an expert of talking. Okay, you took some classes. You have certifications. You have no experience. You have way more certifications and 0 experience compared to me. You're not. In fact, I could tell you to go get the experience, but you're not going to want to do that because you're scared. You're not going to leave your safety of your training environment to go out with your gun, your knife, your hand to hand, and you're not going to go protect people. Why? Because you're going to get injured. You're going to die, and you know it. The chance of you dying is highly likely, and that's why you're going to talk on internet. You're not going to physically go out in the real world and protect people. So the difference between my school and any other school is that our school not only trains, but goes out with the training to protect people in real life. So this is what I tell people. It's fine that you like your school, but understand the difference, and why I'm going to teach you differently is because I'm responsible for outcome for 26 years. The parents and the family members, they're going to come talk to me. More importantly, I work for the private sector, which means that if I'm not right, there's consequences. And clients are not going to pay me unless they want to pay me, believing that I have some value. You can't believe value without evidence. Okay? So you can't just have money from private clients just because.
Right.
Okay? That's not how the private sector works. I love the private sector.
Right.
I will not get paid $1 if the value is not provable.
Right.
Okay? And I have no problem with losing clients. I have a turnover rate with humans because I get rid of them if they're not performing properly.
Right.
Right? But you have a choice. You either have high performance values, right? And performance metrics and a method of creating performance, or you can put your trust and value in people and forget about your clients and trust your team members more, and care more about your team members than you care about the people you're providing protection for. And that's something we can't do. Love is what's required, not guns. So you have to love people to protect them. The most important thing that matters in protection is that you love people, because we will only, as human beings, be able to protect what we truly love. And so you have to care about people. And that's what I look for in team members, are people that actually care about people. Money is a byproduct, and it's always going to be there. Because as long as you're creating positive conditions for people to exist, to have a good quality of life, you're going to always have value. And the private sector will always meet you where your value is. You can always make demands on how much you have to be paid from those who can pay. But you never worry more about money than you do the mission. The mission has to be about preserving people's lives. And the money has to always be secondary to that.
Right. For sure. how do you? What are your thoughts on crime in America being on the rise as a whole? Like, and just sort of disturbing trends. Like, we just keep seeing more and more of these sort of wild home invasions, even in nicer parts of LA. When I think about it, when I started, I interviewed a rapper from Flint, Rio the Young OG, and he was talking about how drive-bys have just become a way bigger thing, and how, I mean, that's the kind of thing it's hard to fucking even think of what the solution is when that kind of thing is going on, where people are just shooting up each other's houses because it's such a cowardly act.
No, it's so remember that everything. There are some psychotics that just do things, right? That does happen, but most of them have a reason or a perceived reason. So I only know this because I have boots on the ground. So I didn't know this. I learned this, right? So I happen to be in a unique situation that I talked to both police and perpetrators. So I had a chance to understand both sides. And what I can tell you is what we are calling crime is usually some form of demented justice. So your sister gets raped, your kid gets killed, your aunt gets, mugged, and then someone came and told you, was this guy over here?
Oh yeah, the gang shit. It's always that. It's always with the gang shit. It's just always that. It's always just infraction after infraction that leaves these people at war with each other. Yeah.
Well, actually, most of the gangs aren't actually at war with each other. So, for example, most of the people that are being harmed are not in gangs. So keep that in mind. If you go harm a gang member, what's going to happen to you?
But in somewhere like Chicago, it's like the number of gang members who are just killing other gang members is just absolutely absurd.
Remember that's so once again, if you kill a gang member, what's going to happen?
I mean, shit to them, probably nothing.
No, it's going to happen. Yes, it's going to happen. They're going to kill your family. They're going to kill your people you care about.
Right. Yeah.
So you don't go kill gang
Increases
members.
the cycle. Well,
right.
But that's what they're doing out there.
These are people talking. Right? These are talking points.
No, I'm saying I'm seeing videos of gangbangers killing other gangbangers left and right in Chicago.
That's not what the majority of people are injured or killed.
Well, there's definitely a lot of people getting killed who aren't in the streets like that.
No. What I'm saying is that's not the majority of what you're looking at. So what they do is they say, you had marijuana in your pocket when you got shot. You're a drug dealer. Actually, you're the guy that is accused of raping this girl over there, and they shot you because that's his cousin, and he's a dope man. He's a gang member. Now, he didn't kill you because you're a gang member. He killed you because you were the one they said raped his sister. Right. Now, they're not going to worry about that story. They're going to go with gang member killed a gang member. You understand? That's not the same thing as what you're thinking, which is let's go be gang members and go shoot other gang members. That's not. But
in LA, that is a huge percentage of the gang on gang violence that we're seeing for sure. These are people who have been at war with each other for 10, 20 years. Their neighborhood can't see someone from this neighborhood without them having to shoot each other. Is basically how, or not to mention they go on missions to other people's neighborhoods too. It's like that really is what it is.
Well, those are what you hear, right? What you're not hearing is it's over a girl. Because it sounds weak.
Well, a lot of it might be over.
That's girl. It's a girl. It's you got to
territory.
Their girl likes your
disrespect. Instagram. They make songs about each other.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of these are excuses that sound more plausible, right? And so what I would say to you is this: that don't listen to what is said, because normally what is said is a false. Is false, all right? So it's false media. It's false in general, and that's because nobody cares about the truth. The truth is usually so convoluted, and a lot of times it's so primal that it's boring, right? So a lot of things are misunderstandings. A lot of things are completely. For example, I'll give you an example. When's the last time you heard of a person shooting someone because they were protecting someone?
Because they were protecting someone?
Yes.
I don't know.
Okay, that happens every day. Okay, there's heroes in every city. You don't have one story for me. Okay, because they called him a criminal because they said it was a gang member killing a gang member, but it wasn't. It was a guy rescuing his neighbor from what he thought was a prowler. Who was the guy? The guy was actually a person who was walking down the street and thought this person was a gang member who was coming after him. It's all a misunderstanding. But they're not going to even check with that. They're not going to go ask any questions. They're going to say gang member killed the other gang member. Right. So what I'm saying is, all that foolishness, go check, go talk to them. And what you're going to see, if you could talk to both sides, which I have done, that's how I found this out, is that they're if it doesn't fit the narrative, it's something else, right? And so what they want to do is they want to fit the narrative. Okay, you had marijuana in your pocket when something happened, you're a drug dealer. That
Right.
marijuana was for girls. You just have to get your chicks. You're not even, that marijuana was not.
Or for
you-
ourselves.
For yourself. It was your stuff.
You
they're
smoke
like,
weed?
it's too much. No. But they're like, you have too much weed. That couldn't be yours. No. The guy's
I
like,
smoke
no.
a lot of weed.
Right, exactly. Like, I promise you this is mine. No, we did a survey, and apparently if you have this much, that's not for you.
Right.
What? Yeah, there's experts that say you can only smoke this much. You'd only have this much weed.
Right.
What? It's bullshit, man. So just remember, these are narratives. They're trying to make it easy for you to understand. Like, that's like saying, they'll say the white cops are killing the black people. Really? Well, so what are the other cops doing? Did you even ask? They're just sitting around, just doing nothing. You should check on that.
You don't really buy that whole narrative.
You should check on that.
So many cops are racist.
What is racist? So you gotta look at things from a deeper perspective. The majority of people being shot and killed by police are not in the cities, but yet I can't even name the last time I heard of a story of someone getting shot outside of a city. Mm-hmm. Because nobody cares when you get shot in Oshkosh, Bagosh, Wisconsin. They only care if you got shot in a city.
Right.
Why is that? And I did ask people at CNN, and they said because that's where the city's television stations are. And I was like, oh, it makes sense. So logical. See how stupid that is?
It kind of takes a lot to get people to pay attention to a murder.
Well, how about
Generally
this?
speaking.
Where do most police officers get killed in the United States?
I don't know.
Where would you guess?
Where do the most police
Yes.
officers get killed? I don't know. Probably.
According to the FBI.gov website, it is down south in country towns.
Okay.
Now name one. Name the last story where an officer got ambushed and attacked and killed in a southern country town. You can't name one. That's because they didn't tell us on our news.
Right.
So we don't have recency bias. We have recency bias thinking that because we heard of X officer doing something or X officer having something done to them, it's a city problem. The majority of problems in America are not in cities,
Right.
because the majority of people don't live in a city. 85% of police work outside of a city. You think they're doing nothing?
Right.
So 85% of people that are in law enforcement don't work in a city. They're doing nothing. Just 15% of the cops in the country are doing something.
Right.
No, that's just 15% we're hearing about because they're in cities.
Right.
So it's not appropriate or fair to say that police aren't doing anything when they don't work in a city, because it's not real. That's not true.
We are seeing a lot more police being held accountable for situations, or
absolutely.
people who are, arming or harming, innocent black people in general. We've kind of, the George Floyd verdict seemed like a good thing. The that wasn't cops, but the
Ahmaud
Ahmaud
Arbery
Arbery situation, that looked like those dudes weren't going to be prosecuted or anything. And then all of a sudden the video comes out, goes crazy. I forget the woman's name who said she was trying to tase the dude. Instead she shot him. She just got sentenced. Do you consider these good developments overall?
Well, anything that just brings more, law enforcement and the enforcement of laws properly and professionally is appropriate. So anything that's in line with prosecuting perpetrators that are doing something wrong is good.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you might have a little bit of sympathy for the defund the police argument, just because their argument usually seems to be that there should be like mental health professionals,
That has nothing to do with police, though. That's
social
not-
workers,
Yes,
etc., instead of police. Like,
No,
do you
that's-
sympathize with that at all?
Well, those are two separate subjects, and so when we lack appropriate process and perspective, we come up with wrong solutions. So the reality is, you don't really need to think about force, violence, capture, caging, and killing people. That is a thought process, and we do need to get rid of that. And we need to have protective policing, which is different than prosecutorial policing. And protective policing is what we need to be focusing on, so that we can get a better, safer environment for police and for the people. And that's where we're thinking about providing. Like, I think police cars should be all bulletproof. Why is that? Because we expect police to go to where bullets are flying. Right? So we protect the police officers, we expect them to go there to protect people, right? But we need to both protect the protectors and the people at the same time, and that starts with education, right? And miseducation, where we're at right now. So imagine we're trying to define people by color schemes. I mean, there's no way you can use color schemes to define people. I have cousins that look like you that are African Americans that call themselves blacks, right? But they look just like you. So how does that make sense?
I would love to meet them.
Yeah, you have met some already, and you didn't know it.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's true.
So,
Yeah.
and the reality is, skin color is not an ethnic group.
Right.
Anywhere. So the reality is, we think of it that way because we're taught to in the United States. So we need to first get rid of all these miseducational things and move forward in the idea that we need to protect people in general, and police are people. We need to create a safety environment for them and for the public in exchange, so that we can have a safer society for everyone. You cannot have a successful society without safety for everyone. So you can't put police at risk and say, let's go out there. We're not going to give you bulletproof helmets. We're not going to give you with a face shield, right? Because they have those. So why are we telling police officers to go in a situation where their face can be shot, and they are being shot, and we don't give them the things that would need to be safe, like a firefighter. A firefighter has a whole helmet and a breathing system to make them safe. So police should have the same thing. And then we need to also reward them for the positives. We need to give them bonuses for creating the positive outcomes, for not crashing cars, for not, injuring people. There should be bonuses for what you want police to do. And not defunding them, but actually funding bonuses for the positive professional behaviors. You're asking a lot of them dealing with people with mental issues. So if you're dealing with people with mental issues every day and you're talking to them every day, it's going to have a negative effect on you. They need to have less hours on the job. Police officers need to have more money for more positive outcomes and less hours of exposure to negative environments. And so that's how we create a better interaction between police, or protective policing, and the people, is that by creating a safer environment that's more positive for both the police and the people, right? But we can't have a negative environment for police as they keep going to negative situations with people on their worst day, and people that are mentally ill, and then have the officers interact with them consistently, long-term, being tired, and expect that not to adversely affect their lives and lives of others, right? So really we got to look at mental health for everyone, both the public and the police, and then make a good plan that helps police and the people get along. And that's what our training system does specifically. It is designed to help police have the skills to not injure and kill people while simultaneously helping them be safer. And the same thing for the public on how to get along with the police, so you don't have escalatory conditions, even by accident, with police. At the end of the day, this is what we've used to create positive interactions with law enforcement in any jurisdiction, even other cities and states and countries.
Nice.
So we can, the point is, and that's part of our social media, is to show people there are solutions. You don't have to be a victim. We don't have to let ourselves be victimized. We're not helpless. There is an educational format to create peace peacefully.
I like it. Anything you got planned coming up? I could see you taking your talents far beyond just YouTube and TikTok, right? Like, do you have any plans for bigger things? Yeah,
our goal is to set up these schools, LA, Miami, New York, Chicago.
Nice.
These schools are going to be the key to change and evolution. Our goal is to take them overseas to other countries, so you can create a safer environment using the police and the people working together in a protective network. But it starts with education. We can't do anything without educational change. We have to stop believing that violence is a solution. Violence is the enemy of humanity, literally.
Right.
So we have to believe that we have to create conditions for a lack of violence to occur. And that means, when we have bulletproof vehicles, we can say we're going to by now be in the community. And now, how can a gang member do a shootout right here with police vehicles here? They can't. Now you can create safety in the community. But we'd have to have bulletproof cars for the police to be in the community already. We can't just say just go there with a car that the officer could be shot in.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, imagine
but is that happening a lot? Or like a ton of cops being shot in their own cars?
If they were where the shooting was taking place, absolutely. So that's not what's happening. What happens is, you think about your safety, and then you wait for a call to go, and then you go over there. But yes, way too many officers are being shot in cars. So one officer being shot in a car is too many. So do you ever hear about firefighters being burned in a truck? No, because their trucks are designed not to be burned. I mean, they're literally using paints on the vehicles, and the vehicles are designed for fire safety for the firefighters.
Right.
So we need to do the same thing for police.
Well, all I know is that young Dolph got shot 100 times, and he was
outside.
in a bulletproof car.
No, he was outside.
And he survived.
Oh, what's that?
He survived because he got shot 100 times, and his whip was bulletproof at that time.
Oh, yeah.
And he survived.
Yes,
and then,
yes, good point.
Obviously, rest in peace, young Dolph. He was killed just a couple months ago, but he did survive being shot 100 times in his car at one point. So.
See, that's a good point. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But that's an example of what happens when you use technology to create safety. It didn't say he shot the guys and killed them. It meant he didn't get killed. And that's, obviously, the ideal outcome.
Yeah.
Right. So we need to continue that for people. There should be safety for everyone. Schools should be safer by creating conditions where you can't shoot in the school, you can't shoot the school, and you can't get in the school with a gun. So, we can create safety safely, or we can just keep waiting for things to happen. And my point is be proactive, but be preventive and be positive. You don't have to be oppressive. You don't have to be inappropriate or disrespectful to people.
100%. Dale Brown, appreciate you coming through, man.
Thank you.
Much
Thank
respect.
you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you, for real. No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. Check
Yes,
us out
it
on
is.
YouTube, TikTok, Patreon, OnlyFans, all that shit. Like, comment, subscribe, nojumper.com if you want to support. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you. Thank you. This is a great podcast. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for your time. Appreciate you.